Welcome, MG number 288, just some random geekery, and we're here live just to prove that we're still here. It's been a while. In fact, I think the last broadcast was discussing the release of the MG Pulp Anthology Book 1 back in January. So, welcome back, gentlemen. So, how's everybody doing? It's been a while.
TJ's is smiling. Hopefully that means he's doing well.
I'm assuming he's muted.
God, I hate technology. You got to click this button. You got to push this button. You got to change this setting. It's like, good Lord, how many? It's like trying to unlock a cheat code on a video game.
It's nice when it works. So,
which is kind of funny because Vince makes his living with technology, and to a degree, TJ does as well. But he's just such a Luddite. But
you know. I'm a geek, an IT geek, as well as a masculine geek. But once I leave work, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't follow various trends. I keep up with certain things, so certifications are in line. But as far as like wanting to know the latest processor or graphics card or I really don't care. I don't care anymore. So no. And it was worth it to follow those things back when I was actually replacing and fixing computers in the shop, as it were. They're so obviously inexpensive, but for the most part, considering like the late '90s and early 2000s, computers were more expensive. They were cheaper to repair and replace parts. Now, not so much. So
no.
Yeah.
I don't need to really know too much about the new stuff. Like I said, I don't really care.
No, what I don't care for with the new computers is I don't care how fast they can run the newest, hottest video game or whatever else. If it doesn't have a CD drive, it's worthless to me.
I have to say, I have an old HPZ book that right now that we're broadcasting from on this, and I have a CD, a recordable CD, a burnable, a CD burner. So
yeah, it's embarrassing that
CD's nuts. Yep. Oh, and it's also a DVD burner. Holy crap! I didn't even notice this. That's how long I've.
It's funny. I still have my laptop from college, and it still actually works. And it's got like
This is a Blu-ray burner as well.
Yeah, my laptop, my old laptop has 4 USB outlets, and it has the CD player where you can watch movies or rip music from a CD.
Yeah.
My laptops for the last while have been don't have any, and they have like one or two.
Mm-hmm.
You want to read that, Robert?
Yeah, as soon as I get some stuff out of the way on my screen.
Yeah.
No, the bottom stuff is there. So, all right, from Mike Steele, $20. Wow, thank you, Mike.
Yeah,
good to see you guys. Vince, I am saving your first book for when the perfect weekend lands, so I can sip with the windows open and the coyotes yipping.
Well, thank you.
Yippee-ki-yay.
Yippee-ki-yay. I appreciate that. You didn't have you didn't have to do that, but I appreciate that you did, and I appreciate that you bought the book. Now, did you get the ebook or the actual physical copy, or do you have like a Kindle that you're going to be perusing through? Or I trust you got the physical copy.
Speaking of physical copies, while we wait for Mike to answer, I am in TJ's first story in the MG Pulp Anthology. Obviously, you can see a certain reverence and homage to a certain Robert Howard character that is woefully underknown and overshadowed by our beloved barbarian Conan. But he's still his own unique character. I mean, he has similar traits as far as assuredness in the rightness of his cause and letting so that his actions are in the moment the appropriate thing without second guessing himself. I like that there are obviously some references to some fairly recent history, I guess you could say. But nothing is heavy-handed about it, and it's something that I could easily see if for some reason a normie picked up this book in one of those, take a book, leave a book boxes along walking trails or something like that, which at least in the Indianapolis area, some copies may find their way into there. Not saying from whom or why or anything, but so stylistically, writing wise, it's very straightforward, easy to read. I'm liking it. So the book starts off, I think, on a pretty strong note. So although the story I'm probably most looking forward to reading is Vince's.
I read it recently
for well, pretty much since before I even knew you guys or were a part of the show. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to Nobles as well. But TJ, I'm really enjoying your stuff. So hope to, as time permits, since I'm woefully lacking in free time for reading at the moment. Looking forward to getting through the book, kind of thinking about it, and then writing up a review on Amazon. And obviously, I will be, I wouldn't be much of a friend to either one of you guys or to Noble if I was not brutally honest about what I thought.
This was totally wicked.
Yeah. So, but it's got a good strong start. I'm enjoying it. I could easily see things going a couple of different ways with it, and I can easily see TJ doing more in that universe. So
yeah, I've actually written at least 2 other stories, one of which is definitely going to be in the next anthology. I'm thinking about doing another one. I think the biggest issue is kind of like what you were saying, Robert. I'm trying to not make it heavy-handed.
Yeah.
And I'm trying. So this one, I'm not spoiling anything, but this one is more grounded in the real world. The other story I wrote that Vince has read has much more of a supernatural and like kind of Lovecraftian horror type stuff to it. And so that was kind of where I've been struggling with trying to decide what world because one of the things I noted about Solomon Kane is that he straddles both worlds. He'll go fight just savages in Africa, but he'll also go up against ghosts, demons, evil spirits, whatever, some dragon or monster, chimera, whatever. So he's in both worlds where it's like pirates or some demonic monster from the abyss. Like those stories could be next to each other. And I was trying to decide, do I want my character to have that same thing? Because the original novel that he comes from is much. It's not actually in any way a book about religion. It's more of a book about politics, which is a couple of people who read the book were actually surprised because it's not a book about theology. It's not a book about religion. It's a book more about, it's kind of a more, I'd say, a less preachy version of Starship Troopers.
Mm-hmm.
And it's more of a political science novel to get people to think. So, but the short stories and the one I did here kind of allows it to be more of like action based, and it's more adventure driven, and it's not trying to send any kind of specific message.
Well, if I can comment or add to that, talking to you as someone reading your work, and if I were to make the author any suggestions, I would suggest this. One, for a certain group of people, and I would dare say those on the political left in the United States and probably around the world to a degree, But I'm not gonna, I'm just gonna talk about stuff at home in the family. Right. Politics is their religion. So
that's kind of what the message of my first the novel was, that you calling something other than what it is doesn't change it. A lot of these words are just placeholders for similar things. So
right.
You call someone a racist, that's kind of the equivalent of calling someone a heretic,
right,
or something like that. So yeah, that's kind of the interesting thing, because in the novel we discuss, it's about a theocracy and about whether we should have a theocracy, and here's all the problems with the theocracy. Well, then the theocrats turn around and say, well, we had these similar problems when we were under a liberal democracy. We just didn't call people heretics. We called them traitors, insurrectionists, like just other words to describe somebody who's supposed to be part of our group and is not.
Right.
And so, yeah, it's I'm trying to make the stories more adventure driven and less, because Solomon Kane really doesn't delve into anything that, you don't have to be a Puritan to enjoy his work, to enjoy, reading about Solomon Kane. And obviously Robert E. Howard wasn't some sort of like fundamentalist religious fanatic. He just he understood archetypes, and he understood how to create a pulp character,
and he understood good and evil, and that and he had that basis in black and white, which is why whenever anyone from my mother to a coworker tells me that I'm too black and white, I need to be able to see the gray areas, I'm like, you see everything is gray, therefore everything is gray. I see black and white, which means not only can I see gray, I can see the subtle variations in the gray. So, I like that about that character. I like that about Solomon Kane. And as far as do I keep it completely grounded in reality, or do I dabble in the supernatural? That, if nothing else, recent disclosures of the actions of various government agencies and certain medical practitioners and scientists, and their experimentation in viruses and using aborted fetal material with animals and so on and so forth. There's all kinds of nasty things that in the end of the chaos, or even at the beginning of the chaos, were unleashed or set loose either on purpose or by accident, that have caused horrific mutations and the like in the natural world to appear as if they are supernatural. And also, who knows what the collider's doing and what kind of gates to hell being open there. So I think there's a lot of stuff you could do, even dabbling into that supernatural element, that would still be grounded enough in reality as to be plausible, or not totally take a person out of the story, or where its grounding and foundation is. So I think you've got plenty of room to play with, TJ.
One thing I've been kind of fascinated with recently is the concept of what I call Babelism. And when I say Babelism, I'm referring to this notion of using a word deliberately using a word to describe something other than that which the word is assigned to. So you use a word to describe something other than what most people think you're referring to. And so you're almost speaking a different language, because the concept of language is that certain words are tied to certain meanings. So when you take that word and you change its meaning through how you use it, it's kind of a form of witchcraft and sorcery. And there's actually one, my other novella in the anthology kind of deals with that in a more practical sense, where it's this outpost on a remote planet, but it's effectively illegal and punishable for you to deliberately misuse a word, because communication is so important in that society, because they have to deal with very volatile weather, but also a hostile alien race trying to wipe them out. It's like we can't afford to have people say something that causes someone, like, to say that something's dangerous. What does that mean? If you say something's dangerous in a non-literal sense, in a world, in a society or in an environment where bad communication can get people killed. This is actually based off of a conversation I had with a guy who was fought in Iraq, and he was saying how, you make decisions or you say things in an environment where it's life and death. But then you go back to the States, you come back home as a civilian, and people just say stuff and don't put any meaning into what they say because it's like, what's the consequences? Nobody's going to die. Whereas when he was in like Fallujah or whatever, somebody says the wrong thing or miscommunicates, someone's dead. So, but I call it Babelism because it's not where it's unintentional. It's where it's deliberate and it's intended to confuse people about what it is you're actually saying, and convince them that you're actually trying to convince them that you're saying something else, but it leads them to do what you want them to do without them realizing what they're doing, which is kind of a form of witchcraft or casting a spell on somebody, right? You just don't use Latin or hocus pocus or abracadabra or something like that. So I might try and make a short story out of that, but I want to do it in a way that's subtle and not like preachy and over heavy-handed like you were saying. So
yeah. Well, what's funny is playing with language and magic. I can think of two wonderful fantasy movies from the 1980s that in both the spells and incantations are in different languages. One being Dragon Slayer, which uses Latin, if I remember correctly, for their magic language, and then Excalibur,
correct,
which used Celtic. I'm trying to think of the proper.
It's like Gaelic or some shit.
Yeah, Gaelic. There, the whole Anal Nathrak. Not
to be confused with Aaron Clary, who's a gay lick.
Yeah. But Aaron's been in rare form the last couple of days, hasn't he?
Yeah, with his photos and
stuff. Yeah, I
online.
Yeah,
on the Twitters. Yeah,
on the Twitter sphere. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah,
he got Jack Napier with two fat black women from behind. And I just said, this is what happens when Aaron Clary tries to share his women with you.
Yeah. Anyway,
never-ending fun.
So,
yeah, that's cool stuff.
Yeah. What are you working on next, Vince? Are you working on another Tesla and Malone book, standalone, or?
Oh, the standalone book is finished.
Okay.
I'm going to be getting our book cover designer from the Pulp anthology to do the cover for that.
Is that the book that you had another artist doing the cover and he's disappeared with the money?
Yeah, I gave him his 50% deposit 6 years ago. Yes, I totally blame myself for this. It's one of those things where he's a friend. I wrote the book. I read it. I'm done. My part's I'm done. It's like but you got to get it out there. You got sure.
Yeah.
But I'm going to. That'll probably be released late spring. Early late spring.
So what are you writing now? Are you writing something for the next anthology, or are you writing another standalone?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm into the third Tesla Malone book.
Okay.
Then I'm reprinting the first the Lightning's Call.
Mm-hmm.
The first chapter, by the recommendation of my editor, was removed. She said it would be better if you start with the second chapter, and this chapter you can use as a flashback or a standalone short story. So I thought about it, it'd be kind of cool to have as a standalone short story, and then I forgot about it.
Mm-hmm.
Not too long ago, when Punch Riot was around, a Nick August online publication, I did release it in that.
Okay.
But that's defunct. It didn't see a lot of eyes, so I figured, you know what? Let me re-release it in my own anthology.
Okay.
So It's a young Tesla and how he sort of gets started.
Okay.
So there's that, and I want to say it's almost 8,000 words. So it's a long short story. And then I'm working on the second Laserdisc pulp detective novella. It's where TJ, Rob, and I go on vacation, sort of vacation, and it devolves into a huge
Weekend
mess.
at Bernie's.
Yeah, almost. Yeah. But with lasers and hovercraft and zeppelins and all kinds of cool technology, even though it's in a sort of an analog age. But yeah, so there's that, and I think I'm going to the environmental setting, maybe the Antarctic. So we'll see.
Okay, cool.
Hey, just has to involve a cute redhead falling in love with me.
Well, sure. Falling in love with you, but your brothers come first.
I know.
That's
where everybody gets to make this story like page turning. All three of us have to be tempted in some way, right?
Absolutely. Well, that's what happened with Rob's character in the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah, he ends up with a 300-pound girl who's just exactly. Aaron Clary meets the man of his dreams.
Yes. You're right. So if you have the pulp anthology, take your attention to page 222.
Oh no, seriously, anyways, yeah.
Yes.
Or we can you know what we need is we need kind of like how the Ghostbusters had a secretary.
Yeah.
She ends up. I'm like, hey babe, I'm sorry, but I've got my crew.
Well, we do sort of have a secretary in the order of Miss Page, spelled Paige. So there's no trademark or family rights involvement.
Time to turn the page on Miss Page.
Exactly. Who makes us sandwiches?
Yeah, I'm bringing a redhead named Tiffany, so she's in the danger zone.
Danger zone. That's right. There'll be all those sorts of cool, broad temptations along the way.
And she seemed, and like at first, you guys suspect that she's an agent for Slope.
An American Slope agent, a double agent. She winds up being a double agent.
No. You think she is, and she turns out to be she's just clumsy and stupid. And it's like, well, you're clumsy and stupid. Like you're innocent, but honey, you're innocent, but not for good reasons.
Exactly.
You're so dumb. You're so dumb. You made yourself look guilty.
Right. You found it, Mike. You can. You know what we're referencing there. You know who we're referencing there too. So if you haven't purchased, I don't have it right here with me, but if you have not purchased it, go ahead and do so. You will not be trust me, you will not be disappointed. Now, if you're an Aaron Clary and who does not like to read, there's no hope for you. I don't get people that don't read. I don't get you. Aaron Clary is one of the few people I will allow to remain my friend who doesn't like to read.
Which is funny. Because he writes books.
He writes angry books.
He writes books and then he's like, I don't read. It's like
every Aaron Clary book, with the exception of a few of them, but most of Aaron Clary's books can be summed up like this: shut the fuck up, don't do anything stupid, save your money, and get off my lawn. That's Aaron Clary's books.
And talk to that girl that doesn't exist.
But still buy them. They are good. I'm going to be getting his upcoming book. I have a tendency to read them in his voice and have it be angry, and I just laugh the entire time that I'm reading any of his work. It's like highly entertaining. So
hey, yeah. But just remember, every sentence needs to start with "and."
And oh my god, yeah.
And this is why da 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 da. And this is why da 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 da. And therefore da 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 da. And yeah,
there are a lot of ands in his.
Oh gosh, I I edited that book, and I was like, you can't. And then, of course, you should have explained to me, I'm writing this book as if I'm going to do an audiobook because that's where the money's going to get made. I'm like, okay, I will leave in your 16 trillion
And it's funny. It just reminded me of, and this goes back to AI and things. So there is a, I guess it goes back to the 50s, 60s, and 70s, maybe into the 80s. There's an English author by the name of David Lodge. And he wrote a book called Small World. And it's about writers and authors and conventions and love and all kinds of fun stuff. But it surrounds the English the international writing world and conventions, and people jet setting all over, having affairs and whatnot and love interests. But anyway, there's one character. There's a lot of characters and a lot of plots going on. But there's one character who works at the university and has a computer program, a very early form of AI, I guess. So this is back in the 80s. And he takes one of the famous authors, his entire work, and plugs it into this very primitive AI and spits back all the common words that this author has used and narrows it down to like half a dozen words that he uses all the time. And they're not very laudatory. They're kind of like, really? These are the words that crop up most in your writing? So much so that it gave the author a complex and he couldn't write anymore. So it just reminded me of Aaron with all his ands.
And.
So you plug Aaron's work into an AI and run it through.
See
what word he uses the most.
The AI would ask, what gay nightclub would you like to go to?
That's right. We all know what that is. We have to read to find out. Page 222. Obviously, don't buy it just for that. It's great work. If I do say so myself, it's all great work. All of it.
It's beautiful.
Right. It clocks in at 288 pages. I'm thinking the next one will probably be a touch larger because I'll have my second novella and the short story. TJ will have at least 2 of his own in there, and Noble will have at least 1, so it'll probably hit well over 300 pages.
Ooh.
Yeah. At the very least, you can use it as a doorstop or a weapon if someone breaks into your house. So.
Or you can read it to a gal and, just see what happens.
Reading to a girl is a very good thing, actually. Especially if it's your own work. It gets their panties wet. And as far as it being released, we're definitely, no ifs, ands, or buts, this is going to be released this Christmas. So, we may be even doing a pre-sale. We'll see.
Yes.
Cool.
See what happens.
Yeah, it's gonna have a good cover because I'm gonna help design it, and I got some good ideas.
Oh yeah, it's news to me.
What? News to you? Hey, it's news you can use.
I didn't realize you were going to help design the cover. You got art skills I don't know about?
No. I'm gonna describe like how to depict some of the characters that I write in this book.
Okay. Well, the best you can give. We can give Wayne some anecdotes along with a page or two or a chapter of, like we did with the first one.
Yeah.
We let him read a couple chapters of our work, and he went from there.
Although you might not want to describe with such great detail a character that's not even in the book.
Yes.
Woo-hoo.
Yeah. That's a shot. That's shots fired, Rollo. If you're listening, it's funny.
Right across the bow.
Right across that bow.
911. I'd like to report a murder.
So.
I mean, because he is prominently displayed on that cover, and he's nowhere in the book.
His character is on the cover. Yeah, his Western character. Yeah, that if you're following along with the stories and you go, oh, there's lasers down the bottom right hand side, the space guys. That's TJ, the one-eyed Viking. That's Thor. Or the back skeleton in the car. Oh, that's Vince's. With this really cool kind of undead Western dude. Who's that? Raw,
Mm-hmm.
who's conspicuously absent from the publication. We do have word that he will be in the second one,
but not on the cover.
Yeah. He doesn't get cover time. No,
No.
He's not getting. He had his chance. He's actually not having any of his characters on the cover.
So
that's funny, but yeah. Yeah, so so my second Tesla Malone novel, long awaited, will be out in the spring, mid to late spring, maybe early, we'll see. And then the second pulp anthology for Christmas. I'm also finishing up a Dungeons and Dragons themed book as well. So I've been working on that for a very long time.
Nice.
I took characters from my old D&D game. I didn't take a gaming session, but I took the character names and like what class and race they are and turned them into novel characters. So, yeah. That I doubt that'll be out this year, but it will be edited at least and finished this year. So look for that in 2026, early 2026. But the plan with the pulp anthologies, pardon me, the plan with the pulp anthologies is to have one every year. And we also, going forward, may open it up to other writers as well. Maybe a new fresh face and new fresh writing. Once an anthology will have an extra outsider, as it were, who's not in the inner circle. So, if anyone listening now or later is interested, and you have an idea you want to write, short story, let me know. Let us know. So, see? All right, we promised this would be short and sweet tonight, and this is going to be the shortest and sweetest there ever was. So, if you caught it live, that's what she said. That's right. If you caught this live, good on you. If you want to watch it later, you can't unless you become a Masculine Geek channel member, and that is $4.99 per month, which gives you access to a lot of old stuff from our old Patreon going back years, and all of our Dungeons and Dragons games, past and forthcoming. Which reminds me, we're in the process of scheduling a one-off for our Friday night from 8 p.m. Eastern to 12 midnight. A one-off D&D game run by the Rational DM, Mr. Raul Tomasi. So we're getting our characters created for that. TJ, make sure you create your character for that, or use your ranger with the AD&D rules. And if you need help with that, let me know.
All right.
Yeah. So look for that. We'll post more as we get more information on the scheduling, but that will be on a Friday night, 8 p.m. to 12 midnight, roughly 4 hour. I think we're going to do a tournament module, and I think that's going to be. I won't say it. I won't spoil it. But it's an old tournament module from the 70s, going back to WinterCon number 8. I think in Chicago. Somewhere,
I think
anyway.
so.
Yeah, I think it's in Chicago. Yeah, WinterCon 8, which was kind of cool. That's back in the heyday. I did a little montage on that on our videos, but that goes back. That's to the heyday of the early gaming conventions, which were very cool.
I have had some wonderful times with various women ending up in my bed at conventions in Chicago.
That's what conventions are for.
Exactly.
No matter what convention they are.
I actually had a woman that wasn't even into the convention stuff, but like I had a dinner date with her, and then she came back. She's like, "Well, where are you staying in Chicago?" And it's like, "Oh, such and such hotel." And she's like, "That's kind of an odd choice, isn't it?" And it's like, because it wasn't near the restaurant or anything like that. And I'm like, "No, well, there's a convention going on there, so I'm there for the convention." And she's like, "Oh, well, that sounds interesting." And I'm like, "Well,
goes from there,
dear lady, come. Why don't you come with me?" And so Anyway,
Yep.
so yeah, there. And I was probably the best Star Trek convention I've ever attended was in Toronto, Canada, of all godforsaken places. But
wasn't Star Trek big in Canada as far as its cult following?
Well, at one point in time, it was pretty big everywhere. But CBS Paramount's done the best possible job of hiring people who absolutely hate Star Trek or know nothing about Star Trek at the best to absolutely gut and wear the franchise as a skin suit. So, but yeah, there's still groups up there, but they are all way wacky leftist groups now. Sadly, at least the more prominent or vocal ones online. And this convention was in the 1989, 90, or 91, right around in that area. So we're talking decades ago, and it was an absolute blast. So, although I almost didn't get into Canada.
So, yeah, I know the feeling.
Yeah. So,
sorry, sir, you're too
border Canadian border guards are douchers.
Hey, just say, hello, I am from India and I'm here to buy your country. Or you can say, oh, I'm with Slope. I'm here to buy your country.
Pretty much. Agents of Slope. Well, if you want to know what I'm referring to, Slope. Yes, it's a slur. It's a slight. It's meant to be tongue in cheek. It's an evil agency in my novella in the MG Pulp anthology.
Like Spectre and
like Spectre, exactly. But these are of the Oriental persuasion. If that offends you, I don't care. But you will get a good laugh out of that and enjoy. So. Shit. What else was I gonna say? But yeah, so look for news for the one-off D&D game, and we'll go from there.
Any guests on the horizon? I know you'd talked about rescheduling Brian Bowden.
I do need to get him back on the. That'll have to be on a Friday because Wednesdays he does his own show at 8:00.
Right.
Yeah. So,
although, wouldn't it be cool if we could do a simulcast?
That would be kind of cool. Yeah.
I mean, if we could set that, I don't know that he would want us piggybacking off of his thing, but
he could have us as a guest on his show. I mean, he could completely do that. We can talk nerd paranormal stuff that way.
Oh yeah. So
we are. Did I send you the information about the leaf cutters?
No.
Oh, I apologize. So the leaf cutters, my buddy's there, and we had them on the show, as you know. They want us to be on their show on a Saturday in late March.
Okay.
At 3:00.
All right.
3 p.m. Eastern for an hour or two.
Okay.
This way we can be outside having our cigar and our drink.
Okay.
And it'll be warmer because now it doesn't make sense. And they're going to get started with doing live interviews in the spring, the early spring. So they asked me recently, and I could have sworn I sent you guys an email. I'll check my drafts folder.
Okay, because I don't remember getting it. Do you, TJ?
Does that sound familiar, TJ? No. All right. Well, consider yourselves forewarned.
Okay, sounds good.
You got
3 warned, 2 warned, 4 warned, whatever it takes.
You've got 4 weeks to prepare, but it'll be on a Saturday afternoon at 3 p.m. Probably. Let's take a look. Probably something like the 22nd, around there. I think I'll double check, but that number is ringing a bell for me.
Okay.
So there you go. So we'll be a guest on their show. We'll probably have them back too, but as far as any guests on the schedule, like concretely, no. We're still trying to get
Still nothing from John Norman.
Not yet. I'll try one more. This will be the third time. I don't want to go any more than 3 times.
Well, and he may be. He's not
sick.
A young man. He just may not even be physically up to.
No. He's still putting out books though, or at least someone is under his name.
Yeah.
So. But I'll there's a couple other people I won't mention. You guys already know who I'm talking about, but a couple other people I want to reach out to again.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's it. Everyone watching, appreciate it. Anyone watching later, you obviously have to become a member. If not, this is lost to you. So thank you for joining us in the moment, as always. So we're going to sign off, and TJ, as always and as ever. Oh, one more time, Mike. Thank you so much for the $20 super chat. That was very kind of you. I appreciate that. You dirty bastard. Yeah. So TJ, please, if you would not mind.
I don't mind.
Take a shot.
You know the drill. Keep the fires burning. Keep the wine flowing. Keep the lead shooting down range. Don't take any nickels. Don't drink all the rum, Aaron Claire, you fruitcake. And tune in to the next episode.
That's right.
And buy our book.
Yeah, buy the MG Pulp Anthology Book 1 if you haven't. So, to you. Let me find this end stream. There's this end stream button. Ending. That's weird. It's like stuck. What the hell? Just standing
Even in the future, nothing works.
Just sitting here like a jackass. Let me try this again. I'm going to press this button here.